Heya, it's me, Wild Neptune, and this is gonna be an epic 7 video, and at long last, we have a balance adjustment preview. So all these changes will go into effect in 2 weeks, and some exciting things happening, like Brian Witch Area, Spez, Cowick, Haste, Yuna, Free Tieria, Silk, Ricardo, and Captain Ripperis are all getting buffs. Also, Flower Shower, which is Tieria's artifact you get for free, is also being updated. So these are based on characters that have fully skilled up. Skill cooldowns are the same. And, you know, some of these might be amended between now and when the buffs go live. But let's go. First up, into Brian Witch Area, a ML unit I think is right now pretty good. I have read these before, so I know what the buffs are. I'm gonna look at the bottom one first, because this is a change that most people have suggested, where she gives a 100% chance now to decrease attack and land the unbuffable. Because this is why you ran her, right? To do this. Because, like, when you mix the 15% and another 15% back to back, you miss the unbuffable a lot. And if you do that, and if you don't hit that, you can lose just because of double RNG a lot of the time. So I think this is a good change for her. The other change, though, is she gets a immortality like Kairon. It's on a shorter cooldown, so 5 turns versus 9. This can't be lowered any, right? So Kairon, you can lower it to 6. But even then, that's like just a waste of resources on him, because no fight has ever lasted 6 like entire Kairon turns after he's procced immortality. So basically the same thing. Like, the difference is that Bryceria can't extend her immortality in any way. So it's just like a safety net for her, just in case, you know, somebody retaliates against her, maybe does a counterattack or something, so she can do a little bit of extra stuff after her initial turn. Because that's the other thing. A lot of the times, I feel like people felt like if they weren't running her as like a fast first turn, or like maybe a pure counter just to stop some buffs from going out, after that one round, she was useless. So at least she does something a little bit extra now. So Spez. So first off, attacks with an Iron Mace. Okay. I pointed it out before. So look at this. Like, they say an Iron Mace, right? Okay, now I want you people in the comments to tell me, is this an Iron Mace? Does this look like it's made... Is this a mace? And is it made of iron? Anyway, the stun chance stays the same, and when it does stun, it increases his CR by 25%, which is, which is good. His S2 now has a even higher chance to stun at 60%. It is an AoE stun, so I think 60 might have been a little bit much. Like, maybe like 50, right? This S3, so it's kind of like an MO ball mixed with a Elbrus mixed with like an LQC, something like that, where if somebody else is attacked, he'll gain a counter chance with like Elbrus. So ideally what happens is that somebody say like S3 Cereses, and then you resist the restrict, obviously, and you counter with S1, and you CR boost yourself with S1, and then he stuns somebody because he's CR boosted, and then you kill somebody with S3. Like, that's like the dream. I don't think this makes him self-sufficient enough to be run over, like, Emma Luluka or somebody like that. Because Emma Luluka, she can be built fast. She has built-in protection by herself, and she can one-shot squishy to like moderately bulk Arby's that are not protected, right? With extinction. And there's also like haste running around too, which is a no strong answer to Arby. I think I'd still run over Spez. I think what this does for him, it makes him better versus not Arbiter Mildred. So he can be run in more cases than just being one of the 5 million RB counters in the game. It really depends too how much more damage these do. Because the only thing that really did a lot of damage in his kit was the S3, and only with the stun. I personally think this is a little bit too much RNG, because you have to hit a 20% on a conditional skill, and then you have to land a 50% after ER checks and immunity checks on the stun. And a lot of openers either don't do damage, they do something like restrict, or they can't be counted now. Which means that, like, this just kind of takes off this skill. So, will it be better? Yes, I do think Spez will be better, but I'm not convinced that it's going to make him anything but a niche pick in RTA right now. I could be wrong, but that's just my feelings, and I don't think they can really move his benchmark up anymore. I think at this point, he has to have one of his skills, or even like two of them, just reworked again. Because he's already reworked before a little bit. Alright, Caloric. So the change here is that instead of dispelling 1 buff, he dispels 2 buffs. It also increases skill cooldown by 1 turn twice. And there's approximate speed. Okay, so this is good because it protects, it helps you against FCC. That's the big thing. Because a lot of the times, her barrier would just block her, would just block the cooldown reduction. And then you just lose. And then, like, you can't use them, like, on offense or anything. And his S3 is silence for 1 turn. Before stealth. Also, okay, this is fine. It gives him, like, some, like, built-in protection. Because he is, like, one of the squishiest characters in the game when he's built fast. So, I don't think it really changes anything for him. It makes him a little better in normal arena offense against certain compositions. But the problem is that his soul burn is ignore ER, which is normally good, but in this case, I actually think extra turn would be much better. Because you have to choose between using the S2 and stripping the buffs and maybe getting a cooldown reduction, or giving yourself the built-in protection with the S3. And he can't do both. And his damage isn't really that... It really isn't high enough where... it's the best setup. I'd say he is pretty fast, though. So... he might be an okay opener for something like CDOM in normal arena, but he is also hurt by his element. Things like SSB, Dizzy, Cerise, stuff like that really put quite a dampen into him. So okay, haste. I read this before. Prepare to be disappointed. So you might notice here that it says Earth Elemental Hero. So the bleeding chance was increased. Okay, that's fine. And it still is a buff, but only with Earth Hero. Now the S2, it now heals more, and the healing is higher based on damage dealt, which is okay. You know, that's a good change. And 100% with 3 bleeding effects with 2 turns on everybody. And it also detonates them. So you do all the bleeds and then it detonates right away, which is actually pretty strong. The problem is it's only on Earth Elemental heroes or targets. Like, the reason why units like LQC or like Doris and stuff, who only like counter dark units, can be used is because dark units are just everywhere, and they're some of the strongest DPS units in the game. Is there Earth units being used right now? It's Bazaar, occasionally Alencia, Clury. And Rowana sometimes. And that's it. Like, here and there, oh, and Landy, right? Like, here and there, you see, like, other ones pop up, like maybe Charles in Guild Wars occasionally. Mortelix, even though he's like, not as common. I really can't think of any other ones off the top of my head. So, I do think that this one here could have been from any hero. And because this detonation is so strong, either change it so that it detonates on one target and it's every hero, or keep it like it is, right? Maybe also put like another debuff on the S2. This like definitely doesn't make him a viable character anymore. If anything, all it does, it makes him a little bit better in Golem. And I'd actually argue that SC Carmine Rose might even be better than him in Golem right now, even after the buff. It's like, unless you're fighting against a light or dark hero, this doesn't matter in like for PvP. And in PvE, fighting earth element enemies is the least important enemy to be good against. This does make him though good in like Holo Trials, maybe. The problem is that detonation of Holo Trials is actually bad. So bleed is like a thing you need. You don't actually use him for that. Like, you use him more for again, unhealable. But like I mentioned in another video, probably the best unhealable character in the game, who has a debuff, is Kitty Clarissa for Holo Trials. So you wouldn't even use him in that use case. Alrighty, Yuna. So she now gets one more focus on her S2. And she gets an extra turn. I don't think... So, Yuna's thing is that, one, she requires plus 15, and her gear requirements are really high to be used in PvP. And that's what she is. She's a very niche PvP hero. That, like, needs time to rev up. So, usually what happens, she S2s first, then she S1s. How much focus does her S1 give? Let's look. Just one? So she still has to S2 and then S1 twice before she S3s. So she has to take 3 whole turns. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So on the 4th turn, she can S3 and get the extra turn. I think that's a little bit... I think that's too slow. Now, she does get, like, a small CR boost for everybody here. And she'll get the speed up and everything, too. So, it does snowball pretty quickly. I think if you are on a team with her and you do get to S3 with her and get the extra turn, you probably won, right? But it does seem a little win more-ish, in my opinion. Yeah, Free Spirit area. This is an S2, and it now resets her skill cooldown when it kills instead of decreasing 1 turn. So now it means that she can compete with Lena for a fast farmer. Her S2 animation is a little bit slower than Lena's S3 animation. And you don't gain the attack buff on the kill, but we'll see in a minute, that doesn't really matter. Let's go on to Silk, who will now gain some CR when she's attacked, okay, and the damage is being increased, which is okay. I mean, nobody uses Silk anymore. So, Kawazu, his Rune of Vitality is being moved to his S1, which will now also decrease defense instead of burn, which is good. And after attacking, there's a different chance to increase CR by 20%, which is fine. And also, his S2 will now increase his attack for 2 turns. I mean, you know, it's fine, right? It doesn't really do anything crazy. He doesn't have any other incredibly impactful things in his kit that helps the your team or disables the enemy team enough to be a factor. But you know, good for him. And here is Ripperus, who now has yet another debuff in Restrict for 2 turns. Man, he's like just like a lot of like small things packed into this one skill. He's not like fast enough though where to restrict I think matters, right? Where if you look at his speed in the journal, yeah, so like he's only 104. I don't know if he gains any. I think he gains a couple of I can't even see his skill thing here. A speed like runes and stuff like that. But even then, he's just gonna be overtaken and killed, or just ignored, right? Also, this is Tiria's artifact, the ML version, and the increased attack is made so that it always works. So no matter what level the artifact is, you'll always get it. and gets, you know, some increased effectiveness, right? Which is whatever. So this is good, mainly because it feels really bad to have had to max the artifact out in order to get the max chance to increase the attack buff. Because you really want that attack buff if you're farming with Free Spiritaria in order to keep her buff up for the S2. So those are the changes. As a recap, Bribe Witch area, I think, is gonna start to see a more immediate usage. Spez might see a small uptick, in my opinion. Cinder and Calric, maybe like a small uptick. Haste, Yuna, Silk, Kawazu, Riverus, they're symbolic changes, if anything, right? And I think this Free Spiritaria change for PvE, for new player farming, is actually really good. So, anyway, tell me what you think about these changes down in the comments below. Don't forget, if you like this video and want to see more content about Epic 7 and maybe other things too, to hit that like and subscribe button. You can catch me on Twitch at twitch.tv/WildNeptune. That's who I am. Wild Neptune. Nep out.